23-year-old Japanese phenom Roki Sasaki is going to be posted to the MLB, and the Cubs might be bigger players than you think. That's right, Cubs fans. Over the weekend, that was all the talk. Roki Sasaki is going to be posted to the MLB. We're going to go over a few things in this video, in this podcast. Number one is all the facts you need to know about this 23-year-old phenom, all the things you need to know about the decision, what's going into it, what actually went into it. There's a lot of factors at play here. This international pool is a little bit confusing. We're going to try to make it a little more crystal clear for you. And then 5 reasons why he's a good fit for the Cubs, 5 reasons why he's not a good fit for the Cubs. You make the decision at the end. Let me know in the comments what you think. And a lot of you voted on Twitter. On YouTube, I posted a poll about what you think the chances are that the Cubs actually have a shot at him. And I want to read some of those comments. I want to show the poll results, so make sure you stay till the end. And make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. We would love that as we are in the offseason. We got to talk about something here. There's no baseball action, but there's a lot of action in the free agency market. And the exciting thing is that this right here really just takes it up a notch. This is the Yamamoto of last year. This is that opportunity for a lot of teams to get involved. And that's really the difference here. While a Shota Imanaga or Yoshinobu Yamamoto were only courted by a few teams last year because of their age, which we'll get into in a second, this guy, I mean, there's no reason that all 30 teams should not be having conversations with Roki Sasaki and his agent or whoever is going to be representing him. So let's get into a few things here. I want to start with everything that you need to know about this guy. First of all, from an accomplishments standpoint, I mean, it's off the charts. 2022, he had a 19 strikeout perfect game. That was, in that game, 13 consecutive Ks. Let me repeat that again, 13 consecutive Ks. I don't remember what the MLB record is. I don't think it's anywhere close to that, but that just goes to show you how crazy good this guy is. And then the next start in 2022, he had 8 perfect innings when he was pulled. So, in other words, he had, 17 perfect innings in a row. That's 2022. And you're thinking to yourself, well, what's he done since then? Well, 4 seasons in the NPB, 2.10 ERA. He's only 6 months older than Paul Skeens. He throws a 99 to 102 mile an hour fastball. You can look up all the stats. You can look up all of the highlights. You can see what he did in the World Baseball Classic in 2023. Now, one key thing here is that if you want to learn more about his stuff, stay to the end, because I do have some warnings about Sasaki, and especially based on what's happened in the last year. But if you want to know more about his stuff, watch Lance Brzezowski's video. It's in the description below. Don't check it out until after this video, but you can see the explosion on the fastball. You can see all of the secondary stuff. It is electric. The splitter is 92-ish miles an hour. It's nasty. It's wild. So go check out that video at the end. The rumors, here's the rumors. The most legitimate, I think the best source that I had for this was MLB.com. Cubs, Mets, and Yankees are the only teams that have actually done extensive scouting on Sasaki. Now, the Dodgers and Padres are expected to be the favorites, even though they haven't done the scouting, which is a little confusing. And then the Blue Jays, Giants, and Rangers are also in the mix. Now, you can say because of the Dodgers and the Padres, there's not the scouting. However, the Dodgers and Padres are also good in the international pool. You see the Dodgers have, of course, Shohei and Yamamoto, and then you see the Padres have Yu Darvish. Now, Yu Darvish is really, really close with this guy, Sasaki. So one could say that would be a pulling point. We'll get to all that in a second, but that might be the reason why you don't see the Padres being on the list of teams that have extensively scouted the guy. Recently, there was a photo that was also posted with Sasaki and Imanaga. I don't know when it was. I don't know if it was a past photo, but there's ties to all of the MLB Japanese guys in some way, in some fashion. So let's talk about some of the facts on this whole decision, because the guy is 23 years old, going into the year 24 season. He's leaving the NPB before he's 25 years old, and that's a really big deal in the international pool from a MLB converting from international to MLB standpoint, because at that point, he's now considered an international amateur free agent, and he can only sign, get this, a minor league deal. A guy throwing 99 to 102 miles an hour, that is a 2.10 ERA in 4 seasons in professional baseball, has to sign a minor league deal. Plus, he gets a bonus based on the international bonus pool that each team has. A lot of that has to go into how much if they give qualifying offers to their players or not. There's a lot of factors that lead to how much money that each team has. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a second here. But essentially, this is kind of like Shohei Ohtani when he signed with the Angels. What was that, back in 2017, I believe? So Yamamoto last year, right? He was past age 25. He signed for 12 years, $325 million to the Dodgers. His former team got a $50 million bonus. The Cubs signed Shota Imanaga to a confusing yet really favorable deal for the Cubs, but also is a lot more lucrative than what he would have been making in Japan. And his team got paid as well because, again, Shota was over the age of 25. And so this is more like Ohtani. When he was 23 years old, he got a $2.3 million bonus. And the Angels got him for 6 years of control, 3 years for the league minimum and 3 years of arbitration. Crazy. And, he went through his injuries and everything, but the the bargain that was for Shohei Ohtani is wild. Now, Sasaki, his team asked for him to, and I'm going to butcher the team name. Chiba Lot, I believe is how it's pronounced. I could be getting that wrong, but that's his current team. He asked his team last year to post him, but they declined. There's potentially some drama behind that. I don't know I'm not going to speculate on that. They're doing him a favor, though, by doing this year. So even though they didn't post him last year when he asked for it, likely because of money reasons, this year, they're still posting him because he asked again, yet they're going to miss out on tens of millions of dollars. Let me repeat once again. Yamamoto, his former team got a $50 million signing bonus for allowing him to move to the MLB because he was over the age of 25. However, because this guy, Sasaki, is under the age of 25, that bonus is going to be cut by tens of millions of dollars. So, out of respect is really what it sounds like. And there's some articles out there, there's some speculation, but it sounds like essentially two things go into this. From the Sasaki side, he said, because he's going to be missing out on hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's be honest. I mean, his signing is not going to be very much. It's going to be that of like a minor league deal. And he's going to probably make most of his money in the first 5 or 6 years in arbitration. So for that reason, like, he's missing out on Yamamoto type of money if he would have just waited a year and a half. Now, from Sasaki's side, he's saying it's because he's just ready to go in and prove that he can pitch to major league batters. That's the next challenge in his career. Again, there's a lot that you could read between the lines. There's a lot that you could speculate. That's not the point of this video. But then from the other side, the Chiba Lot team could be saying like, hey, no, we're still going to wait till age 25, but they're not. They're now honoring this. So, kudos to them for actually doing this. Now, there might be some sort of side agreement. There's been some speculation on that in some of these articles as well. There's no actual concrete information about that, but there is some speculation that there might be like a side, hey, once you do sign that big contract, here's what we get from that. We don't know. We don't know, but there could be something like that. And whether that's, don't even know what the legalities are behind that. Now, here's the last part of this. The deadline to post for NPB teams is December 15th. The MLB then has all 30 MLB teams have 45 days to negotiate with any teams, any players that are posted before December 15th. Expect this to get to at least January 15th, because if it happens after January 15th, essentially what happens is now all of this, and I could be butchering the dates and everything, but the overall arching theme of this is that at a certain date in January, it's no longer 2024 international pool money. It's now 2025 international pool money. Now, in 2024, a lot of teams have actually already run out of their international pool money, but the Dodgers have the most. It's right around $2.5 million. So if it's done in 2024, which would not make any sense, it would make zero sense for Sasaki, for the team to allow any of that to happen, because once it resets in January, now you have as much as $7.5 million that could go to him as a signing bonus, including the Cubs, who I believe are right around the $6 million mark. I don't have the exact number, but they're somewhere in the middle there. So it doesn't make sense for any of this to go down before January 15th is really what I'm kind of setting the expectation for you. So don't expect him to be posted before December 15th, maybe at the earliest December 1st. Don't expect any decision to be made before January 15th. And so for that reason, you're going to see, just like last year, exactly what happened. You're probably going to see a lot of these free agent pitchers wait until this guy gets signed. Now, it might be different because Yamamoto had that big contract, and so guys were able to say, well, Yamamoto got that, so I should deserve this. However, because this is going to be literally the biggest free agent out there, most teams are going to put their eggs into that basket, and then whoever doesn't get him will then start going after maybe those secondary guys. I still think Corbin Burns, I still think maybe Max Fried can still get signed during this time. But if they don't, they will definitely be signed probably within the week or two after that is my guess. So let's go into some of the factors that he personally is putting into this decision. We just went over all of the things that go into the semantics of going from international to the MLB. But what about Roki Sasaki? What does he want personally? According to an article by Will Salmon from The Athletic, his priorities are the following: stability, lifestyle, comfort, and the team's track record with player development. Now, he's expected to also be represented by Joel Wolf, who also represents Yamamoto, Yu Darvish, Kodai Senga, Seiya Suzuki. So again, there's just ties all over the map. There's not like one little pinpoint that says like, yes, this team has the biggest advantage, although a lot of the articles are saying that it's the Dodgers because he's played a ton with Yamamoto, idolizes Ohtani. There's been speculation about that, but again, he's really close to Yu Darvish. He's taken pictures with Shota Imanaga. There's so many different things, but at the end of the day, none of the factors, aside from potentially comfort, stability, lifestyle, comfort, and team's track record with player development, none of those point to I'm looking at where my other teammates or my other friends signed. But Shota also said when he signed with the Cubs that Seiya had nothing to do with it, but really, like they had to have some ties there. There had to be some conversations and probably just wasn't talked about. So my thing here with all this information that we have, what are some actual good reasons that he would sign with the Cubs? So I'm going to give you 5 reasons. I want to completely open this up for conversation. Let me know in the comments what you think. Here are my 5 reasons of why Roki Sasaki would sign with the Cubs. And number 1, it's exactly what we were just talking about. It is the fact that Jed has opened up this pipeline, has opened up this stream into the MPB, into the international pool in Japan with guys like Seiya Suzuki and Shota Imanaga. And they also had a really good experience with Yu Darvish as well. You know, we bash Jed all the time, but he's done 2 things really well. He's built up the farm system incredibly well, and he's opened up this road to Japan, which is going to be huge for years to come. You can see it. Look at the numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but every year, more and more players continue to come over from Japan than ever before. And so this road that Jed has opened is advantageous for the Cubs to keep open. So if they continue to bring over guys like the Seiyas and the Shotas and the Sasakis, plus it's all S names, like that has to be the winning formula, right? I think that's going to only be more advantageous for them to be able to continue to attract guys like Sasaki over. Number 2, pitching development track record. How about that? Especially Shota Imanaga and Jameson Taillon. I think if these conversations get deep enough, probably Sasaki is already having conversations with all of these guys that are from Japan. And Shota is probably telling them, and if you missed the conversation I had with Daniel Moscas of the Cubs assistant pitching coach, he talked about all the changes that they encouraged Shota to make on his way over, and he took advantage of it, and it worked incredibly well for him. A lot of you already saw it. A lot of you continue to see it during the season. If you missed that conversation I had with Daniel, make sure to go check it out. I'll put that in the description as well. But they knew all the things, all the ways that Shota's pitches moved and how the strike zone was different in the MLB compared to the MPB and how he could use that to his advantage. And it worked. It worked like magic, to be completely honest. So if they can identify that with Shota in a very short amount of time, what can they do with a guy that has 100 to 102 mile an hour fastball with a nasty split and nasty secondary stuff, right? Like Shota's stuff is mid compared to this guy. Shota's stuff is low compared to this guy. So I think that's extremely attractive. I also think that if it gets deep enough, you bring a translator in and you have a conversation with Jameson Taillon. Jameson Taillon in 2023, when he signed with the Cubs, he straight up said publicly, this is the number one team that can help me continue to get better in my career. You didn't think he was going to get any better, and he did. Not the year that he got there, because there was a lot of different things that were mentally up with Jameson Taillon on the way that he was gripping his pitches and everything. We don't have to go into that. But in 2024, the dude was a number 2. Like, he was legit. Look at the numbers. He was a number 2 in any rotation. So when you can talk about, hey, here's what I saw in signing with the Cubs, and here's what's happened since signing with the Cubs, it's come to fruition. That's a really powerful conversation. That's a really powerful selling point. Number 3 is money. Now, it's, yes, money on the side of Sasaki. Again, the Cubs aren't at the top of the international pool for 2025, but they're kind of mid to top in what they can offer. But money from the standpoint of what they don't have available, right? They came out publicly and said that they're not players for Corbin Burns. They came out publicly and said they're not players for Juan Soto. And so that means that even Max Fried, who is probably going to command 20 to 25 per year, and the only reason that he's going to be lower on that standpoint is that he's never made, I don't believe he's ever made over 30 starts, if he's made at all 30 starts. And he's coming off some injuries. So you get a discount on a guy like that, but even that is kind of pushing it. That's a lot for Jed and Tom from their comfort standpoint to hold on to, right? Again, as fans, we can say, hey, go spend the money. It's not our money, but we know how Tom and Jed spend. With all that said, I think that this is a very attractive money option for the Cubs. And for that reason, I think Jed will go hard after them. They're already scouting, one of 3 teams that's been scouting. So I don't think that we need to see any more writing on the wall that they're serious about him. Number 4, projection. Might not have the playoff run that the Dodgers have had, who, again, the Dodgers, the Padres, they really are the top contenders right now, or the top competition, I would say, for him. But they're on the uptick. The projection for the Cubs, when you look at the farm system, when you look at back-to-back 83-win seasons, but you can also look at all the injuries. You can look at all the underperformances that they had. You can look at the factors of Wrigley Field, and you can say 2024 was this outlier year because before we had this uptick. We were on the uptick, and now look at the farm system that we've got coming in. Look at what we can do with that. I think there's a lot of excitement around the Cubs from a international standpoint, from both the players that are on the team and also the players that could be on the team here in the near future. And then number 5, Wrigley Field was a pitcher's park in 2024. Now that this guy needs that kind of selling point because he's going to strike out everyone and their mom. But you look at the competition, Dodger Stadium allowed the most home runs than any other stadium in 2024. Wrigley Field was a pitcher's park. It only allowed, it was like 150 home runs. I think the Dodgers was like 240 something home runs. That's a major difference. If you're looking to have the best stats, the best success, the best place that you want to pitch, if you just look at 2024 numbers, again, it could be an outlying season. You could see Wrigley Field play like a hitter's park again in 2024, but they're going to use that as a selling point. All right. So what about the 5 reasons that he's not a fit for the Cubs? Why he's a fit for maybe another team? First of all, if lifestyle and comfort are at the top, well, questions become the same as what Seiya Suzuki had when he decided to come to the Cubs. How cold is it going to be? Right? I don't like cold weather. Most of the NPB, if not all, I believe all of them are indoors. And so for that reason, they play in really comfortable conditions. I remember Seiya Suzuki coming over and saying, I didn't realize it's this cold in April. And you got to think he was probably like, did I make the right decision? So there's that. And there's also the fact that most of these NPB players will start off on the West Coast or in warm weather places. Yu Darvish went to the Rangers. Shohei Ohtani to the Angels. Ichiro to the Mariners. Yamamoto to the Dodgers. Goes on and on and on. So Seiya was one of the only guys that came over and said, and, you know, aside from the Yankees and Red Sox for a while there, right, were really hot on the NPB and hot on the international pool, the Matsuis, the Dice Ks, all that, but that's kind of cooled down. And a lot of those players are now going to West Coast. So Seiya Suzuki signing with the Cubs was a little bit of a shock. Kodai Senga did sign with the Mets as well. So there's conflicting things on this side. However, most articles that you see come out, a lot of these guys are like, I like lifestyle. I like West Coast. And so that could hurt the Cubs. Number 2, the track record. in terms of a franchise, they just don't have the same success as the Dodgers, who again continue, as I will continue to say, are their number one competition in all of this. Dodgers just won the World Series. They've been to 4 of the last 8 World Series. They just signed, making all these unfair signings. From Shohei to Yamamoto. Now they're in talks with Soto. Like, it's crazy. When you have unlimited resources and you look at Sasaki, and Sasaki can say, hey, I'm not going to hinder this team for the next 6 years because I'm going to sign a minor league deal. That's going to be extremely attractive. And then suddenly you've got Shohei, Yamamoto, Sasaki, Glasnow all in one rotation. I mean, how do you stop that team? That in itself, and then you add in potentially a Soto, which would just be crazy. I get depressed thinking about that. Let's move on to the next one. Number 3, they don't have the same leverage as some of the other teams in terms of the bonus pool money. Again, from a 2024 standpoint, the Dodgers have the most, but from a 2025 standpoint, which is really where it's going to be, the Cubs are middle of the pack. It would be stupid for Sasaki and for his team, Chibalot, to sign him, to allow him to sign before January, because they're going to miss out on so much money. So even then, though, the Cubs aren't like the favorites in terms of the amount of money that they have. They have right around the $6 million mark from what I've seen, where 7.5, 7.6 is probably going to be the highest number available. Number 4, literally every team's in play. The competition is going to be high, guys. The Rays will be in play. When you talk about a guy who says, I want player development, they don't have a place to play for who knows how long because of all of the tragic weather that's been happening over in Florida, had happened in Florida. But when you talk about player development, I mean, it's the Rays, right? It's the Brewers. Good Lord, God. If the Brewers get him, we're all screwed. This is what makes us scary. He's extremely affordable. It's going to be a minor league deal. So every single team is going to be in play. If you're not picking up the phone and talking to Roki Sasaki's representation, you're not serious about winning in 2025 and beyond. So that would be crazy if there's teams not making calls. And then number 5, he's extremely close with Yu Darvish. Padres might be the team because of that, because he wants to play with his really good friend, which ironically, Yu is nearly twice his age. So it's more of a mentorship standpoint, but that is a real factor. All right. I want to get to all of these reasons that all of you on Twitter and /X and YouTube gave me for why you think Sasaki is or is not going to be a Cub. Make sure, again, as you're listening to this, that you leave your comments. So first of all, the results up on your screen here, you're going to see, and it was kind of interesting. So a lot of you voted. On Twitter, we have 142 votes. On YouTube, we had 173 votes. And in the beginning, Twitter was extremely negative about this, saying not likely. They stayed negative, saying 43% of you saying not likely. But in the beginning, YouTube was really optimistic about this. Right around like the 50 votes mark, it was like 50 to 60% of you were saying it's 50-50. Then it started to even out. And just like Twitter, those of you on YouTube said 38%, so a tick less than Twitter, said it's just not good. It's not going to be likely. So about the same amount on Twitter and YouTube for very likely, 7% versus 7.7. 50-50, we had 27.5% versus 31%. Already went over the not good / not likely, 38 versus 43%. And then 0%, almost a quarter of you on both said 0%, not going to happen. Might as well shut it down now. Don't even try. So basically, the way I look at that, 3/4 of you have some sort of hope. Whether it's strong hope or a little bit of hope, you have some hope. And honestly, after looking at all these things, I went in with this saying no hope. I'm at 0%. But then as I did the research, I was like, okay, I'm more at like 50-50. I think the amount of scouting, how Jed has opened up this pool, how we have all these players from the MPB. I'm like 50-50 right now. So let's go to some of what people are saying on YouTube first. We have Adam or yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. It looks like Adam or Adams Shet, 9165. It's hard to see him opting for Chicago over places like LA and San Diego. Fingers crossed that Darvish tells Sasaki all the positive stories about Chicago that nudged Imanaga over. Yeah, that's a great point. It could be the fact that Darvish doesn't say, hey, come to San Diego, because Darvish, how much longer does he have left to pitch? He could be like, hey, I only have a year or two left. Don't make a 6-year decision based on me. But hey, I love Chicago. Here's all the reasons I love Chicago. So I thought that was a really good point. Also on YouTube, we have Brady Plays 1232. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if he turns down millions of dollars in endorsements by going to LA. Going to be a tough choice for him between Chicago and LA. Now, this was interesting. I just wanted to bring it up because maybe I'm missing something. I don't have the full business point of all this. I just wonder, is there more LA dollars and endorsements in LA versus Chicago? You'd have to give me some education on that one, because the way I kind of look at it is, if you have a phenom, just like the Dodgers have Shohei Ohtani, the big selling point for the Dodgers was, hey, we're going to make all of the money back on Shohei in year 1, year 2, just on endorsements and money from an ad standpoint as a team. Now, what Brady is saying is he's not going to turn down $1 million of endorsements. I guess the same ads that he would be making, the same endorsements that he would be making as a player. I don't know how much that changes in going to LA versus Chicago. Is that the Hollywood effect? I'm not quite sure. I would not have thought of that, I guess, is what I'm saying here, Brady. So help me understand that one. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe that is an actual factor from me. I look at it and say, I think it would probably be the same Cubs and Dodgers from an endorsement standpoint going to Sasaki. And then on Twitter, Teddy K618, Jed has put a lot of effort into building up the pipeline from Japan. Yes, he has. Having Seiya and Shota should help him considerably. And opening the series in Japan should be a nice bonus. Now, the reason the Cubs are opening the series in Japan versus the Dodgers likely is because the MLB said, hey, each team has 2 big superstars from the MPB. Let's put them against each other. And so really the opening in Japan piece, yes, nice for the Cubs, but again, their biggest competition is going to be the Dodgers. So I do think Sasaki is going to be on either one of those teams on opening day. I really do. Let's hope it's the Cubs. But the warning, let's end with this warning. And this is going to be in Lance's video. I will point you to that again. Go to the description below. Check out the video. Injuries in 2024. His fastball velo was down nearly 2 miles an hour in 2024. His professional innings are low. The most innings he's ever thrown in professional baseball, I believe, are 120. Yeah, there it is. 129 and a third innings in one season. Now, Shota was kind of around the same. I think he was at like 150, and he was able to go out and throw over 170 innings for the Cubs in year 1, which was really impressive. But that's something to consider. And Lance's video brings a lot of warnings. However, here's the thing. You still make, it's not nearly a risk. Yamamoto was a risk. 12 years, $325 million from a dude who's never thrown a pitch in the MLB. And he had a good season when he was healthy in 2024, but I think he only ended up throwing 90 innings. That's a lot of money down the drain for a guy that really didn't do what you expected a $325 million guy to do. This guy, what's the signing bonus going to be? What's the actual contract going to look like? It's going to be pennies compared to anything else. So even if he breaks down in year 2, you're like, well, good thing it was a minor league deal. So I still say you go for it and you get 1 or 2 good years out of him. And then, oh, well, if something happens, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he will adjust. I think especially if he comes over to a team like the Cubs, that they can boast all of these guys who are developing, who are getting better in their careers by coming to the Cubs. Shota had an incredibly healthy season, didn't miss a start. Those are the things that you point out and you say, we know how to treat you. We know how to be able to make you a legitimate MLB starter for years and years to come. That's what I got to say about this. Let me know what you have to say in the comments. Thanks for checking us out. Continue to subscribe, like, comment, do everything that you can here on the Setup Man. And I'm going to go put my arm on ice, Setup Nation. We'll talk to you next time.